Hello, Pranam, Namaskar. How are you all? Panchatattva Girl is here with her environment talks, and you're listening to Prakan Tattva, my green podcast. Early this morning, I got to read this article on how our planet is drowning in plastic pollution and it's time for change. Well, plastic began and it has many valuable uses too. But somehow we have become addicted to single use or disposable plastic, which has severe environmental consequences. This article says that around the world, 1 million plastic drinking bottles are purchased every minute, while 5 trillion single use plastic bags are used worldwide every year. So, in total, half of all plastic produced is designed to be used only once and then thrown away. We all know that we can see the plastic debris is found absolutely everywhere. Call it from Arctic to even Antarctic. It clogs even our drains in our cities. It litters on the streets, roadside, grounds, national parks, and is even sadly piling up on Mount Everest. So, we all know that plastic pollution has become one of the most pressing environmental issues as rapidly increasing production of disposable plastic products overwhelms the world's ability to deal with them. So, tell me, have you ever thought about the various types of plastic and their effect on human health and environment? No? Well, recently I came in contact with this young teenager who says she knows her plastic. Yes, that makes me curious. And my curiosity helped me invite Anandita to my Green podcast with her views on eco friendly living and some of the sustainable choices. So let's know a little bit about it from our guest on the show today. Here is Anandita on Green Podcast. Welcome, Anandita. How are you?
I'm fine, Auntie. Thank you for having me here.
So I hope that Anandita is excited to share her views on environmental concerns today, right?
Yes, Auntie, I'm super excited.
So good to have you on my show, dear. And yes, I should not forget to tell you, I love your name because it always makes me feel Anandit.
Thank you.
Well, listeners, just for an intro, let me tell you, Anandita Nair is a student of grade 8 at City International School, Mumbai. She is deeply interested in and is a student of Carnatic music and Bharatnatyam. Her hobbies also include exploring music and writing. To add on, Anandita is concerned about Mother Nature and the impact of our actions on the environment. She often ponders about how seldom humans pay attention to the needs of our nature. And when I say this line, at her home, she replaces plastic garbage bags with homemade newspaper bags. Am I right, dear?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me how it started or when this change happened at your house.
So I was really when I came to hear of this Know Your Plastic, which is basically like a 1 hour initiative by Arneset Foundation, where
Mm-hmm.
we are introduced to the world of plastics through a quick crash course. And we are taught different things like how to identify the types of plastic and how to find eco-friendly methods to deal with them. I've always been a bit intrigued towards our plastic problem, and I wanted to enable people worldwide to recognize that these issues are really serious and they're actively happening. They can cause so much harm to the well being of all organisms that is honestly a bit scary. So I think that like the day is not far away that one day mankind itself might be extinct and Earth would merely be another planet simply consisting of rock and minerals and no
Mm-hmm.
traces of living beings.
Right.
I hope that this Neoplastic course would be like a stepping stone for me, so that I could enable a change in our household and in my personal habits too.
Wow, so glad to know your views, Anandita. I'm in awe. So, yes, listeners, although mostly for economic and practical reasons, long back plastic, which is currently overwhelming us, was originally created as a solution to maintain the availability of natural resources on Earth. So, we should say no to plastic bags. Yes, we know because they are non biodegradable material and they are harmful not only for our health but also for the health of environment, as she also mentioned, and they are one of the major causes of environmental pollution. While plastic is a menace in the 21st century, plastic was invented for its versatile nature. Like it is lightweight, it is inexpensive, and a product made of plastic can be described as a good or bad also, depending on the plastic which is used or what is the purpose. So, when we talk of good or bad of plastic, and knowing about the plastic, how many of you know your plastic? Well, why I'm asking this is, listeners, let me tell you, Anandita has a lot in her green bag today. She had done a course that creates a conscious consumer of plastic packaged product. So when I heard it first, I was literally in awe. Firstly, that there is some course like that to make people aware of plastics we use. And secondly, and more importantly, because this young girl had done this course at the age of 12 years. And that made me more curious to know how today's teenagers are so aware and conscious. So Anandita looks forward to spreading the word on the accurate usage and disposal of plastics to make Earth a cleaner and greener place through the initiative Know Your Plastic, introduced by Nisarg Foundation, for which she is a certified trainer. So, leaving everything else, I'm more curious to know about the Know Your Plastic thing, Anandita. So, just share your views and what made you do this course.
So I was, like I mentioned before, I was really interested to do this and bring about a change because I've been wanting to be a bit conscious of my plastic
Mm-hmm.
consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hoping that if we all do that at an individual level, then we can overall have a positive impact on the production of plastic as well.
Right.
So I considered that the stepping stone for this journey would be the Know Your Plastic course, and I was hoping that this would assist me in that journey, and it did. So I'm really glad that I was able to take part in it.
Wow, this is lovely knowing. Can you, not of course the complete course, but a brief about what this Know Your Plastic or what this Nisarg Foundation is?
Yes, so basically the Know Your Plastic course teaches us to identify the 7 types of plastic,
Okay.
and it tells us which of them are recyclable, which of them can be reused, and it also enables us to recognize the reasons behind why the plastic crisis is not only nationally but also worldwide really getting worse by the second.
Wow.
And it also helps us to find solutions on both individual level and societal level and to spread awareness on them. And lastly, it helps us to find eco-friendly substitutes and innovations to plastic.
Wow, this is something. Matlab, you sure has motivated many of my teenage listeners and everyone around to know their plastic. So we are much aware what we are using. So just to brief about it, listeners, that since plastics developed till 1950 and even 1970s, only a small amount of plastic was produced. So the plastic waste was still manageable. But by 1990s, it doubled. And even there was a rise in plastic production too. By the beginning of this century, the plastic waste crossed the record of the past 40 years. And sadly, today the waste is more than 300 million tons, which is equivalent to the weight of the entire human population. So, Anandita, when I talk of this journey of plastic, and now we stand in 21st century, and while talking to you, tell me, at your age, should I assume that there is more or much awareness about this conservation or plastic menace thing? What's your view on it?
Although our generation is quite aware and conscious about these issues from, I could say, an early age because of exposure,
Mm-hmm.
I still think that we have a long way to go with respect to analyzing these issues in depth and acting upon them. Because I think people our age are yet to realize that if we keep burdening the next generation with this responsibility of
Mm-hmm.
making amends for the damage that we have only inflicted upon the earth, I
Mm-hmm.
think nothing's going to work out well in the end. So I hope more of us youth realizes that and acts upon it soon. I definitely believe in us. I think we have the power to do it.
Wow. Now, this is one power statement from Anandita. Of course, youth is that person, I should say, or that generation which can bring that movement, bring that change. The only thing is we need to support, and I'm really glad to know your views on this.
I believe it starts with simple choices like choosing a steel bottle over a plastic bottle or refusing a straw when you go to buy a drink. And the best one is to carry your own bag when you go shopping.
Absolutely.
However, not all times we have a solution to substitute plastic with other material because plastic in itself is really beneficial and unique.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best option is to consciously reduce our plastic consumption.
Right.
Buying less plastic on an individual level, if done by multiple people, can have pleasantly surprising results in plastic reduction.
Right, right. Absolutely right. So, tell me when you tell about these changes and that too at your age, we all know that plastics are derived from natural organic materials such as cellulose, coal, natural gas, salt, and of course, crude oil. And crude oil is a complex mixture of thousands of compounds and needs to be processed before it can be used. That is why this journey of plastic production is really harming our environment. And the production of even plastic begins with the distillation of crude oil in an oil refinery. So what as this generation you feel is an alternative to plastic? Why I'm asking is because I read somewhere about bioplastic. Do you know what it is or any alternative which you think?
Yes, I think bioplastic is a possible alternative. So, bioplastic is basically a type of plastic that can
Mm-hmm.
be made from natural resources such as starches or oils and
Mm-hmm.
corn, straw, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And it uses natural resources and renewable resources. So, in
Right.
one way, it is really a good substitute, but all the same it is not the best substitute because even then not all parts of bioplastic can be actually recycled
Mm-hmm.
because there are certain polymers and certain chains which do not break down.
Right.
Only a few of them actually break down. So I would still prefer to go by the method of reducing our plastic consumption. However,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that scientists are researching more about bioplastics and it could be a possible solution for the future since it is definitely much better than normal plastic.
Right. So much of Gyan Anandita. I'm really loving it. So when we talk about this reducing the use of plastic or bioplastic, so tell me what you feel. Does banning single use of plastic even will make a dent in the bigger problem of climate change? What do you feel?
I definitely think that it will because plastic, like you mentioned before, is derived from crude oil.
Mm-hmm.
And banning plastic and producing plastic basically puts a lot of pressure on the non renewable resources and the fossil fuels.
Right.
So that too causes a lot of harm in our environment. And
Mm-hmm.
if it is banned, then there will be more attention to climate change and there will also be more innovations for finding substitutes to plastic or for
Mm-hmm.
reusing and recycling plastic. But all the same, banning cannot be the only solution possible because there are certain plastics which cannot be banned because
Right.
plastics, as we all know, are really beneficial. And
Mm-hmm.
there are certain plastics like MLP, which is multi-layer plastic, which you find in biscuit packets and chocolate
Mhm.
wrappers. They
Right.
are really common these days, and they are the ones that cause the most litter. Like when you go to the beach, you can see a lot of packets and all.
Right.
But
Right.
they are difficult to replace because they are made in such a way that they will ensure a longer shelf life for the product.
Mm-hmm.
And so such qualities and such characteristics are difficult to find among other plastics or
Right.
other materials. This kind of multi-layered plastic is really common because it includes biscuit packets,
Right.
chocolate wrappers, and there are a lot of those being in production these days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And such kind of plastic ensure a longer shelf life for the product, which is why most products like wafers and biscuits and chocolates come in that, so that they don't get
Right.
spoiled easily.
Right.
But such kind of plastic is really difficult to reuse because it is made up of different materials clubbed together with plastic. So it is difficult to recycle and reuse,
Mm-hmm.
and that is why the only possible solution we can do as of now is to consciously buy less of it. And
Right.
it is not possible to ban it because there are not so many products which can replace that in terms
Mm-hmm.
of ensuring longer shelf life and having better characteristics.
Right. So right. So guys, of course, as we always talk about plastic, so plastic is good as well as bad. It also has really beneficial uses also because it is used in many manufacturing plants and everywhere. All we as our part can do is reduce the consumption of those products which we can at least not bring, or like she said, ki biscuit packets or chips, we can buy them in bulk, or stop buying those products which like she mentioned about this MLP plastic. So, all as a conscious and aware and a sustainable person or a human, we all can do is reduce buying these kind of stuffs which are coming in MLP plastic, which is really a harm to our environment. So, tell me, Ananda, when you tell about all these things and knowing your plastic, what kind of a change you were able to bring or you are able to practice at your home when we talk about knowing our plastic and reducing its usage?
So basically, at home now we are a bit more aware of our plastic, and we send our plastic for recycling to recycling organizations.
Wow.
And we also make paper bags out of old newspaper and replace the garbage bags,
Mm-hmm.
which are actually harmful for the environment.
Right.
So my father, who introduced me to this course, helps me and guides me in this. So I'm really grateful to my parents for this.
Nice.
And with their guidance, we give our MLP plastic to recycling organizations,
Mm-hmm.
and they are collected by certain organizations where they're used to produce cement as a substitute for fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm.
And it is thus it's not only a replacement for non-renewable resources and fossil fuels, but
Mm-hmm.
also it is a friendly option for recycling, as it doesn't leach toxics if it's burnt under the right conditions. So yeah, that's one of the things we do from our
Wow.
side.
This is not a small thing, listeners. Please just listen to her views, how beautifully she is saying that they have replaced those garbage bags with the newspaper bags, and they're sending their plastic waste to recycling organizations based on the type of plastic, respectively. It really hurts me when I see those garbage trucks going piled up with those black colored big polythenes. I don't know why people can't reuse or available things at home, or या फिर poly bags जो लेकर आते, they are just throwing it away and piling upon those garbage bags because they feel कि okay, एक बार घर से निकल गया तो garbage it's gone, but we don't realize that it ends up in the landfills, and then again on the higher side it is harming our environment. Well, guys, not only this, Anandita has even recently shared a post on climate change, which you can even read on her handle, Anandita's underscore book club. Okay, so when I mentioned this book club thing, let me tell you, not just she knows her plastic, this bubbly teenager is a bookaholic. She has her Insta book club, which I just shared the handle, which she calls her safe place to read, discuss, and make memories. Anandita is a bookworm who loves to explore the enrapturing world books take her to. And Anandita's love for books and discussing them with others lead her to form a book club, Anandita's Book Club, where she holds discussions on various books and authors with her friends and peers. And with some guidance, as she's handling this bookstagram, she is not only having books. As I just told you, I read a beautiful article on climate change on her handle too. So Anandita, a word about your bookstagram account, please.
Okay, so basically on my Bookstagram account, I have some guidance and I post some opinions of mine about books, and I post some book reviews, and I also do challenges occasionally, so it's like a fun thing to do when I am free.
Right. Wow, you are doing so many things at your age. I still need to recall they kya करती थी इस age में. Okay, so tell me एक थोड़ा सा बड़ा question. Do you think people need to change their perspective about how they receive information about our environmental crisis? Like right now, we both are also discussing, and many discussions are going on. So, what do you think? Do you think people need to change their perspective?
Yes, I definitely do, because as I mentioned previously, we are not really acting upon them, because a lot of commendable people worldwide are speaking up about these issues like climate change and plastic pollution, and they have taken the initiative to act on it too. But we, I think in my opinion, we humans have received enough wake-up calls to know that Earth is in danger, because there have been forest fires, there's melting of glaciers, global warming, sea pollution. Yet we have this mentality where we tend to raise our voices against these issues when they occur. But when they are a figment of the past, we just forget about them and then raise our voices next when the next issue occurs.
Right.
But I think, according to me, prevention is definitely better than cure. So we have to take full use of this time period where prevention is actually possible, and I think we have to continue it.
Wow. So yes, right. And when you say all this reminds me of the recent conference COP26, which stands for Conference of the Parties in the climate change sphere. And in UN Framework Convention of Climate Change, UNFCCC, the COP brings the signatory governments together once a year to discuss how to jointly address climate change. So as you said, yes, a lot of things are going on at different levels, like on world leaders, ministers, negotiators, even the civil societies, international organizations, media, everyone is coming up. But the change will come when at the root level also we as humans, we as people start acting on it with our bit of change which we can bring and help in healing the bigger problem of climate change. So listeners, when we talk about all these things, I'm very sure that talking to Anandita today, you have made yourself aware of knowing the plastic. See, all the plastic is not bad, but yes, we need to find which is bad, which is actually harming us, and what we can reduce. So Anandita, as I won't say last or the least, but how do you take part in making the earth a greener place for the future? Of course, you are our future generation, but what's your take in taking part in making the earth a greener place?
So like you mentioned previously when you were introducing me, we try to send our plastic waste to different organizations according to their types. Like we send plastic bags to different organizations and bottles to different. So these collection drives are really helpful in disposing the plastic safely.
Right.
And not only that, but we also try to plant saplings and trees on special occasions like birthdays, or for if we conduct workshops, we use the money to plant trees. And additionally, we just try to spread awareness. I try to spread awareness as much as I can in small places too, like schools, among my friend circle, and so on, so that at least as a small group we can start making change in our daily life and routine.
Absolutely right, and absolutely wonderful that at this age of yours, you are taking so much of effort and you're giving it a thought that how we can reduce by doing small things. So guys, it is a wake up call when a teenager herself is involved in knowing her plastic and she is so conscious, she is so aware. It's high time we all contribute and help the future generations have a healthy, green and plastic free environment. And as I always say in my chats and this talk show, that make, reduce, reuse and recycle your mantra for life. Try to refuse what you can, try to remove what you can, and try to recycle and reuse as much as things as you can at your house, and whatever things you can bring. Like she said, that carrying your own straw, carrying a steel bottle, these are very small things, but we at times are so habitual that okay, एक छोटा सा प्लास्टिक का बॉटल खरीद लेंगे because okay, पी के फेंक दिया, who will carry? But no, please bring that change. It is sure going to help. And yes, one thing for sure, Anandita, that I'm going to do this Know Your Plastic course soon, because I really want to be aware of the plastic which I use in whichever form I'm using it, because that will sure help me to understand which plastic is good and which plastic is bad for the use. And guys, once again, what I can say is that please reduce plastic waste, because that will ultimately reduce the contamination of environment in the soil, air and water. So when less trash goes out, the less will end up in landfills, and reduce the plastic entering our oceans. By we can even reduce burning plastic, and with that releases toxic gases. So all we have to do is we should make ourselves aware that we are using reusable items more and more, and initiate models which allow upcycling of waste items for better use. Of course, there are many upcycling items coming up which are really beautiful, and they are helping us reduce the plastic waste, especially from our cities, our urban local bodies, as well as curb the value for waste among the citizens. So, Anandita, knowing your plastic and knowing our plastic, it was really a great conversation with you, and loved having you on my podcast. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for giving time from your school and other busy schedule to the Green Podcast.
Also, a big thank you to all the listeners for tuning in. I understand that it can be a bit scary to see the rapid pace at which our plastic problem is intensifying, but each individual action also matters. I've read that in Asia, an average of 20 kg of plastic is consumed by each person. I'm sure we can all contribute to reducing this huge amount in our own way. It is sometimes overwhelming to have to bring so many changes in habits and routine, but in the end, it is definitely worth it. We can do it together.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, darling. Thank you very much, Anandita, for your sweet words. Before I wind up, just a word. I came to know Anandita from her mother, who herself is a very active participant, and she is herself having a Facebook group called HSP, Heritage Stories in Performing Arts. And I must say that both mother and kiddo are very artistic and very much active in performing arts, call it dance, call it theater. So kudos to both of you that she is bringing up such a beautiful teenager who is aware, who is conscious, and who is really working towards a healthy, greener environment. Once again, thank you, Anandita. Thanks a lot for this episode. I really loved knowing your views, especially as a teenager. And yes, let me mention, you are my youngest guest on the podcast. So it was lovely having you.
I really want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I will definitely head over to listen to more of your podcasts, because I think this is such a nice initiative. So thank you so much.
And that's all for today, guys. Panchatattva Girl will be back with more stories, more conversations, more talks on green, healthy and sustainable environment. So till then, stay conscious, stay aware, stay sustainable. I'll be back with more things. Till then, keep smiling, keep listening. Namaskar. Thank you. Bye-bye.